A disappointing season comes to a disappointing end. This is it. Hawks lose 5-4 in overtime to the Dallas Stars. A season in which this team struggled down the stretch. I'll get to more reflections on the entire season, but let's go quickly through the game. I would say the biggest bright spot in this game is Alex DeBrincat in the first minute, picking off a pass fresh off the bench and just going breakaway right and backhanded, roofs it over Ottinger to make it 1-0 Chicago. It was his 32nd of the season, and he has a goal in the last 7 games to end the season. 7 straight games to end the season where Alex DeBrincat scored a goal. Especially with the end of the season here has just been awful as it is. There's mad respect for Alex DeBrincat with that kind of performance, and I'm really excited to see what he can do in this next season. Literally less than a minute later, DeBrincat gives a juicy pass to Pius Suter, who crossed in the slot and fires away goal number 2 on the night, and it's 2-0 Hawks in the first minute and a half from goals by DeBrincat and Suter. DeBrincat getting the primary assist on that one. That pass was just beautiful. A no-look behind the back pass in a way. Just phenomenal. Unfortunate that despite this fast start, they would end up not coming out on top. So with about 4.5 minutes to go, John Klingberg has it just in front of the blue line. He throws it up on front as he notices Joe Pavelski is wide open in front of the net, the side that Delia isn't covering. So he's able to hook that pass away from Delia and right to the stick of Pavelski, who, I don't know if he got all of it, but he puts it back in, and the Stars are within 1. It is Joe Pavelski getting the goal. His 25th of the season, led the Stars this year. He had a pretty good season. He's still showing that he can still play, and that's good for Pavelski there. The second period had a couple really nice saves from Ottinger and Delia. Delia had a pretty good game tonight. I'll talk more about him later. But with about 3.5 minutes to go in the second period, a 2-on-0 develops. That's all I really need to say. A 2-on-0 develops between Dylan Strome and Vinny Hinostroza, both former Coyotes. They both move in. Strome gets it to Hinostroza, back to Strome, and he roofs it. 3-1 Hawks restore the 2-goal lead against the Stars. But the Hawks, unfortunately, would not escape the second period with a 2-goal lead. With literally 5 seconds left, the Stars, right about to start a power play, draws one by the Stars, pass right to Heiskanen, and he fires it past Delia. So a 3-second power play and a goal. Miro Heiskanen buries a puck past Delia with about 2.5 seconds left in the period. And it's 3-2 Stars. They get back within 1. Yeah.
I just wanted to come and chat with you. Oh, sorry, you're doing reaction video?
Yeah, I'm finishing up.
Sorry, I had no idea you were recording these. Sorry.
I still have this last
I
one.
didn't realize. Okay, sorry, I didn't mean to.
Yeah, no worries.
Okay, I'll talk to you in a little bit. It's just this dumb core band that makes me want to punch a wall.
Oh, okay.
They do covers, and they're rock covers, and it's just horrible core.
Oh.
They're like covers of like regular songs, and they try to make it rock.
Oh,
it's just like slightly more distortion and just like obnoxiously corey, like Bring You the Horizon lyrics style. It's horrible.
Oh. As we head into the third, about halfway through, there's a skirmish around the side of the boards, right in front, I think, of the Stars bench. And out from it comes Vinny Hinostroza with a head of steam, full head of steam. He drives in, comes right in front of the net, and squeezes it in through Ottinger and buries it. 4-2 Hawks. Vinny Hinostroza gets the goal. Little did we know this would be the final goal of the season. This next play, this next play really just encapsulates the Hawks defense all season. I kid you not. Yoel Kiviranta, who has done jack squat this season, from what I know, he just took it from the blue line, 3-on-1. Kiviranta, the only star there, walks right through three Blackhawks defenders and puts it past Delia. I don't know how he put it in the net, but he did, and it just unforgivable right there. And that one I really can't even blame on Delia the most. Yeah, he probably should have stopped that shot, but you had three defenders on one guy, and you couldn't stop him? I don't understand where you're going at here. This is not amateur hour. Yes, the last game of the year, but don't you know win the last game of the year? That's not an effort a winning team will put out. Just a few minutes later, Jason Robertson's behind the net, wraps it around, it finds its way out into the middle of nowhere. But storming in comes Jason Dickinson, and he rips it, and it goes past Delia. And just like that, we're tied. Three separate 2-goal leads in this game for Chicago, and the game is tied now. Yeah, I don't know what else to say. And thus ends regulation. We're going to overtime. But this overtime is a bit different than before because the Blackhawks are going into overtime with a power play. Not just any power play, but over 3.5 minutes worth of power play time. And they couldn't score. 4-on-3 for 3.5 minutes of overtime, over half of overtime, and you couldn't score. You couldn't score a goal. And that just sums it up right there. That play with the defense and then the inability to score in key times, especially when you're either tied late or down late. This team has just had the inability to score those important goals, and it continued tonight and put a nice little bow on this type of year. So here's Payne. Just about 30 seconds left. Jamie Benn comes out with Jason Robertson on 2-on-1. Ben shoots. Delia makes the save somewhat. It gets behind him, but it's slowly rolling. It looks like it may hit the post and out. Jason Robertson, though, right past him in the net. Game over. Dallas, who was trailing by 2 goals 3 separate times in this game, did not lead at any point in this game, will come out of the UC with a win on the final game, on the final night of the Blackhawks season. This game kind of encapsulated the Hawks season quite a bit, and I'll tell you why. The Hawks start out really well, like in this game. 2 goals in the first minute and a half. Hawks did very well coming out in this season. Yeah, they had a bit of a slow start, kind of what we expected, but as things went on, they actually started to get pretty good. But as the season went on, they plummeted. That's just the blunt factor of it. They faltered and just crumbled. And it became apparent that we were only good and in the position that we were because we were playing Columbus and Detroit all the time, and Dallas for that matter of fact. The first half of the season consisted of majorly Columbus, Detroit, and Dallas. I think. Correct me if I'm wrong. Actually, I don't think so. Mainly Columbus and Detroit. We had 6 games for both of those teams out of the way in the first half of the season, which the Hawks performed very well against those teams. But against the other teams that they played, not so good. Basically, when March came about and the Hawks started off March against Tampa Bay at home, it really started to plummet after that because they went to Dallas, lost like 6-1 or something, and Kane's 1,000th game. And it's been downhill since then. You play again against Tampa, you get killed. You play Florida, you don't do well. You play Nashville, you get stomped up and down the ice for 7 games or whatever. Like, uh, and you play Carolina a bunch. Like, this season had a very, very rough end, especially after we finished up those games against Nashville with like Tampa and Florida and Carolina to end the year. Basically, all hope was lost. All hope was gone, and eventually it took a bit longer than I kind of expected, but we were eliminated about 5 games left in the season. And that kind of encapsulates this game here. Early start, early fantastic start, trying to keep pace as the game goes on, as shown by the extra goals that we scored to keep the 2-goal lead. But as the season went on and near its conclusion, we plummeted and just could not win games to save our lives. And that's the biggest problem that this season had. Just could not finish out games if we had a lead. Could not win games when we were behind. It was just really tough. There were so many games where it looked like we had it and we didn't. Plenty of games where we were destroyed. But in the end, that was what kind of most people expected. Most people did not expect this team to do as well as it did. I saw a couple hot takes saying that this team was going to be like the worst team in the salary cap era. I've been kind of going off of that a little bit throughout this season, but a lot of people were predicting us to maybe beat Detroit, and that was it for our division. We finished 6th. We exceeded some expectations a little bit, but granted that also came with Columbus collapsing as well. And yeah, I mean, you can't excuse the fact that you were in a playoff spot and you were passed up by not one but 2 teams to finish in 6th. And Nashville's going to the playoffs. That frustrates me so much. I hope the Hurricanes just destroy them. But I don't know if that's going to happen because it's the Nashville Predators, and when they've been the underdog in recent memory, they have shocked everyone. And I don't really need to explain why I have that nervousness about this series against Carolina. But I'm glad that the Hurricanes, the Lightning, the Panthers, they're all doing well. Southern teams, smaller markets. I'm happy for those teams and those fan bases that they get to experience something good for their fan base. Where, us 5 years ago, the Western Conference was the Kings, the Hawks, and the Ducks, and the Sharks, and the Blues. Basically, those 5 teams were staples in the playoffs. Even the Wild you could even throw in there a little bit. But at this point, the Kings, the Ducks, and the Hawks, they've all just fallen off. We have all just fallen off. 2015, those were like the hockey matches in the Western Conferences to watch. Now it's just, oh yeah, those matches were good like 5 years ago. Not really anymore. All right, whatever. It's almost like you play them and you get a sense of nostalgia more so than you're thinking about this season. And that's what we live in right now. The Hawks are obviously not as good as they used to be. And sometimes I sit here like, we have talent. We have the pieces. But then I look at the defense and our goaltending, and I'm like, there it is. There it is. Because we have some really good pieces on offense. Kane, Taves should be coming back next season, I hope. DeBrincat has blossomed into a bona fide superstar at this point, or at least he should. Coming out party for him. Fantastic season. 32 goals. Ending the season with a goal in 7 straight games. Then you have the young talent in Kubalik, Suter, Kurashev. The list goes on in terms of offense. But on the defensive side, that's where we're struggling. Keith is starting to show his age, for sure. Had a couple really bad slip-ups during this season. Dahan I've ripped on a lot throughout this latter half of the year because there have been plenty of times where he's been the one covering a goal scorer and he let the goal. Like, Boakfist has been decent. Granted, he has had times out of the lineup. And it was just an endless cycle of just new guys over and over again on the defensive front. And goaltending, Lankinen was doing the best that he could. the best that he could. Subban did the best that he could. Subban had some really nice moments, but there were plenty of moments from Subban that just made you say, what in the hell are you doing? Delia only had like 4 starts this season, 2 in the beginning of the year, tonight, and like 1 more against like Carolina. Maybe he had 2 against them, but like Delia was like not good. But frankly, because Delia wasn't good, that led us to bring in Lankinen, and he blossomed into the conversation of the Calder for a little bit, especially in the beginning of the year. Lankinen was in conversation for the Calder. That is a huge honor. Same thing with Suter. Both of those were like, they were both in the conversation for the Calder for a little bit. But alas, as the season went on, Suter's production went down. Kurashev's production went down a little bit. Lankinen's production, I wouldn't say it went super down, but it was stalled. It stalled. And the defense crumbling in the latter half of the year did not really help Lankinen out. And it did not do him any favors. I'll tell you that. Because there were several times throughout this season where I'm saying, Lankinen, I know you're a rookie, but like you gotta stop that. You're in the NHL now. This ain't, the minors. You're in the majors now, if you want to call it that way. You're in the professionals. You're in the National Hockey League. You're playing for one of the original 6 franchises as a starting goaltender. There are high expectations. And the Hawks have been continuously selling out games for Lord knows how long at this point. You're going to be in a sellout crowd, and it's going to be different for a lot of these rookies come next season if we're able to have full capacity at arenas. Because the UC is rocking every single time the Hawks are playing. I cannot wait for that atmosphere to return. The Sea of Red in the UC. Oh, man, I'm so excited for that to come back next season. But for now, we just reminisce on the season that was and the disappointment that this season was. But yeah, no playoffs for the Hawks. But hey, we were better than the Red Wings. We were better than the Red Wings. That's the big positive for this year. We were better than the Red Wings yet again. They're not doing very well, but who knows? They made a couple good moves during the trade deadline. The Hawks made some moves, but you hope that the Detroit Red Wings can suck once they go back to their own conference. That is going to be a thing I'm going to miss. Hawks and Red Wings a lot this next upcoming year. Only playing them twice instead of 8 times. 4 times in each stadium. Now it's only 1. The rivalry is pretty much going back to what it was just a few years ago. But we get our rivalries back with Nashville we already had, Nashville this year, but we get the rivalry back with the Blues. We get the Wild back. Should be good. Somewhat normalcy. But, the new addition to the Kraken. Can't wait to see what they do. And yeah, I'm excited to see what this league gets to offer in the future. But yeah, that's really going to do it for this season. The Hawks end on a lull. They end on a disappointing note. A flat, an accidental, if you will, for those band people out there. So that is going to do it for this season. If you liked what you saw, you like to see me go nuts, hit that like button. Please, that makes me happy. It shows your appreciation. Also, hit that subscribe button because this is returning next year. Sure hope so. And without further ado, I will see you guys next season. Take care.